What was destined to be a glorious season for Real Madrid could become a nightmare. After Rudiger's injury, the team is in a dire situation and could lose all the major trophies within a month. How does a team full of stars end up in this situation? Although Kylian Mbappe is now feeling himself and scoring decisive goals, he was not this good in the first half of the season. Many speculated that he was not mentally well after the backlash he had during the negotiation to leave Paris. During the whole saga, he went from being the most loved French player to one of the most hated. According to Mbappe himself, his poor form was only due to his fitness and a matter of adaptation. He got thrashed online after missing 2 key penalties in 2 successive matches. However, he finally bounced back. Today, he is the leading goal scorer with more than 15 goals. The player who went under the radar was Vinicius. The Brazilian had a slow start this season. His performance quite disappointing for a player who was supposed to be the leader in offense. He had some fantastic moments, just as his hat trick against Dortmund allowed Real Madrid to do a remontada. However, his good performances have been once again overshadowed by the yellow and red cards. For Rodrigo, it was all about finding a place in the new front three. After picking up several injuries, he finally regained his good form after the Christmas break. He's back to scoring important goals and finally catching up with Vini and Mbappe. With a front three like that, everyone will wonder why Real Madrid is on the verge of losing everything. The answer comes from Ancelotti's poor management. This season, Real Madrid has been competing for all the trophies, so that meant the players had to play a record amount of games. Knowing this fact, Ancelotti did not have the foresight to rest his key players. He lined up in the same starting 11 and kept the key players on the field past the 80th minute, even when Real Madrid won comfortably. This lack of trust in his bench cost the team a lot. In fact, Madrid lost Eder Militao and Dani Carvajal to ACL injuries. Although the backline diminished, Ancelotti repeated the same mistakes with other key players like Valverde and Rudiger. Just 2 games before playing their close rival Atletico Madrid, Rudiger got injured, and Madrid dropped 3 points against Espanyol. With only 1 point ahead of Atletico Madrid, which stands in second place, Real Madrid will have to face them without their best defenders. Even though the majority of the blame is on Ancelotti, Florentino Perez should also take responsibility for what could be a fiasco. Perez officially declared that Real Madrid would not recruit any player during the winter market. How does that make sense? Understandably, they have Mbappe, Jude, and Vini, who create goals out of nothing. But the team has one of the worst defenses since the departure of Ronaldo. Due to the lack of proper defenders, Tchouaméni is being asked to cover for Militao, which has been a disaster. In case you missed it, Real Madrid is the first team in history to hit $1 billion in revenue in 1 year. With all this money, why are Perez and his board so reluctant to bring in new players and help this struggling squad? Is it a problem of overconfidence, or is Perez just being a cheapskate? Since Real Madrid started the season poorly, they could not make the top 8 in the Champions League. They'll have to face Man City, also going through a rough time. But guess what? They did not want to wait until the summer to reinforce their squad. They spent more than $200 million to buy a midfielder, forward, and defender to replace their players out for injury. If being overconfident was the reason why Madrid did not recruit any player, they could be in for a rude awakening. In a few days, their whole season is on the line, starting with La Copa del Rey, then La Liga, and finally the Champions League. If they lose against Atletico Madrid, they'll drop to second place in La Liga and allow Barcelona FC to close the gap before El Clasico in Barcelona. Will Real Madrid survive this month or sink into despair by losing all major trophies within 2 weeks?